Hello again. Welcome to my third and final video in my string of recent Nostalgia Critic reaction videos. Today I'm going to be reacting to Nostalgia Critic's review of The Dark Knight Rises. And after this, because it's the Dark Knight month, I'm not going to be reacting to the other reviews coming out, the 1989 Batman and Batman Mask of the Phantasm, because the Christopher Nolan ones are the ones that I really wanted to react to due to my strong and kind of differing from the norm opinion of them, and it's been fun so far. Liked his review of Batman Begins a lot. Really liked his review of The Dark Knight, even though we have polar opposite views on that movie. And now we're going to do The Dark Knight Rises, and it's hard to believe this fucking movie is now 10 years old, and like everybody, I have very mixed opinions on it, maybe more than others. And without further rambling, let's jump in, see what Doug has to say, and see how much I agree or disagree.
This episode brought to you by DoorDash, the app that brings you food you're craving right now, right to your door. Also brought to you by Coinbase, the easy-to-use platform to buy, sell, and spend cryptocurrency. You are now seeing what you fear.
The Scarecrow's fear toxin strikes again.
Here's one of your fears now, the villain from Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
It's Batgirl?
Oh, sorry. And an even
Alicia
bigger apology for
Silverstone.
ruining Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed.
It was like her.
Soon we will destroy the Batman franchise with Bat credit cards, Bat nipples, and Bat hockey pads.
Just this.
What's that?
Didn't we literally just do this plan like 2 reviews ago?
Yeah, like some characters
Yeah.
are different, but isn't this like the same thing?
How dare you? This is far more
Doug went off
expensive.
on Rises repeating Batman Begins years
Look, you know
ago.
how everyone said the one with the Joker is one of the greatest things ever made?
Yeah.
Well, we're taking inspiration of the lesser one before that.
Isn't that like backwards?
Of course, it's the most Christopher Nolan thing to do.
Whatever, you're gonna get hate for this no matter what.
I suppose you're right. Roll the thing. When the much-anticipated Dark Knight Rises came out in 2012 after one of the greatest comic book movies ever made, and another runaway blockbuster, the hype
Good
behind
film.
Christopher Nolan's third and final Batman film was immeasurable. And I will say, the people who loved it insanely loved it, and the people who didn't, I think were given the same treatment as the folks on the Gotham Bridge. I, as you probably guessed, was one of those people who didn't care for it. In fact, I hated it. I loved The Dark Knight so much that I was ruthless on this film. I haven't even watched it since it first came out. Well, 10 years later, I put it on again, and I have softened a bit. The acting is pretty good, besides
Yeah,
its
take
killer
notes.
bastard. I'll even go so far as to say the majority of this movie is very impressive to watch. In fact, upon revisiting it, I think it only has one problem. The script. That's all. Just the words, choices, and basic root element of cinematic storytelling sucks. But aside from that, it's really good. I know I'm gonna get ripped apart for this, so I'll try to praise what is legit awesome about this film. But I'm not gonna pretend the stuff I think is bad isn't bad. As always, I'll be as honest
Good
as
to know.
I can, for better or worse. Hey, what are you doing? Trying to hide yourself so you're not connected with my opinions on this movie, aren't you?
Hey, if you want to ruin all that DC goodwill you built up, then kick me out of it.
Fool me once, right?
Fair enough. This is my solo
Demo reel.
Definitely solo.
review.
It's a lot of
Dark
flack,
Knight.
but I enjoyed that parody.
The movie opens randomly reminding us that Harvey is dead.
I believed in Harvey's death.
Thanks. Just throw this in there too in case we forget. But it gets pretty cool with an intro clearly trying to top the bank robbery opening in the last one, but who cares? It kicks ass. CIA agents
It
capture a
does.
mercenary known as Bane, played by Tom Hardy, and try to make him think they're killing his henchmen.
A lot of loyalty for a hired gun!
Or perhaps he's wondering why someone would shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane.
Or how a voice and a mask can sound like 20 sound filters on top of each other. If you're wondering why he sounds like he's clearly in a recording booth, it's because there was a lot of complaints that Bane was too hard to understand in the trailers.
When Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die.
This dude does do a lot of talking,
Yeah.
so my guess is they brought him back and re-recorded or re-altered his voice several times.
If I pull that off, will you die?
It would be extremely painful
You're a big guy.
for you.
I actually really like his voice despite everybody's impressions. Bane in the Harley Quinn show is entirely written around how hilarious it sounds.
I am cutting this guy. Blades are dull. I will bend it.
But again, it's a Batman villain. I want him to sound a little weird. What am I gonna say, the Joker sounds too high-pitched or the Penguin grunts too much? Their silly voices are part of what makes them distinct. With that said, it is great when his voice breaks and he sounds like a drunk Sean Connery from Red October belching helium.
Of course. The Batman, to my shame, police is mobile. Opportunity.
If Soda Popinski had a voice. It turns out Bane just needs the doctor on this flight and he arranges the plane to be rotisserie by another plane. I honestly have no troubles with this scene. It's pretty sweet.
Implausible, but pretty good, cool.
Did you like my impression of a creaking door?
Oh, they expect one of us in a wreckage, brother.
The recruiter with the pamphlet should have told you.
That's an awesome
Yes,
shot.
you question the logistics of this plan, but let's use the same rules as Dark Knight. It's a comic book movie, so anything heightened that makes the characters look smarter or stronger is fine. However, anything heightened that makes the characters look stupid or lazy, I'm going to call out. Because that's not fun, that's stupid or lazy. Like at Wayne Manor, how Gordon is about to tell a group of cops he lied about Harvey Dent and the Batman for 8 years.
Maybe the time is right.
Don't worry, he's not that stupid. He'll just carry it around on missions, so a criminal may find it and read it later. Not to go into spoilers, but a criminal finds it and reads it later.
The mayor's gonna dump him in the spring. Must be popular with his wife, huh, really? She took the kids and left for Cleveland.
Yeah, that's right. Gordon's family left him. Isn't
They
that
were
exactly
saving.
what you were hoping for at the end of Dark Knight? Oh my god, the suspense. I hope after this they get divorced. To be fair, he did pretend to be
Kinda like
dead,
Die
and their
Hard.
lives resulting in their lives being threatened, but piss off, comic books.
Ever lay eyes on Wayne at one of these things? No one has. Not in years.
Bruce Wayne has stayed out of the game for 8 years, and all the aches and pains catch up with him, forcing him to walk with a cane. And a stick to keep his balance. I don't care, it's mine! It's mine! It's mine, man! Jones, I love it! But Selena Kyle, played by Anne Hathaway, plays Never Once in this movie called Catwoman, who tries to get Wayne's fingerprints. Call me crazy, but I figure Batman and or Bruce Wayne would have better security than this.
Well, he's kind of an idiot.
I was the Dark Knight!
Yeah. This is where I lost all love for the character.
I'm honestly indifferent to her. So when I first saw her in this, that was my reaction. Indifference. She was just another Catwoman to me. Didn't leave that big an impression. Watching it again, she's both a little worse and a little better than I remember. Put bluntly, she sucks as a villain.
You're kidding me.
No guns, no killing.
Where's the fun in that?
I never buy it. It looks like an act. She plays evil the same way a villain at a kid's birthday party plays evil. It's clearly for show.
Still don't trust me, huh? How can we change that?
However, I do kind of buy her as a badass hero. Catwoman always flip-flops between sides, and when she fights or even just walks alongside Batman, it does look pretty cool.
She's got the walk
Probably buy her
down.
more as a warped version of Batwoman or Batgirl or something. Speaking of which, can I be Robin?
Got something you want to ask me, Officer Blake?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays Officer Blake,
You should use your full name, Robin.
Holy self-service.
who figures out what
Showed
nobody
that
else
pretty
in
early.
Gotham could. Bruce Wayne is Batman. How? Just the look on his face.
My mom died when I was small. I'd seen that look on your face before. It's the same one I taught myself. Right when I saw you, I knew who you really were.
Oh, goddamn this script.
Yeah.
Goddamn this script. I know I said I wouldn't attack any heightened elements in this, but this isn't heightened. This is freaking supernatural. He figured it out having never seen or heard Batman, but just by looking at Wayne's face.
Holy underwritten metropolis.
Why isn't more people figured it out
Look,
then?
hard to fix. Just have Batman walk by him at one point and Blake be like, I recognize that chin. That'd work. I'd buy that. At least he would have seen the two to compare them. But this psych kid is a damn miracle. He could have made millions outing other superheroes just by looking at him.
Diana Prince, Clark Kent, Peter Parker, Jennifer Waters.
Congratulations. All these heroes are being hunted down and or destroyed. Don't talk. You've done enough.
Speaking of which, and I do literally mean speaking of which, you notice how much damn talking there is until Batman shows up? it takes him 45 minutes to appear, which is honestly fine as the other movies took their time setting up stuff too. But it always felt like something was moving forward in those movies. Bruce was having flashbacks or traveling place to place before he became Batman. Gotham's law enforcement were trying to take down the mob with Batman's help before the Joker story really got going. This is literally just people sitting around explaining exposition. Maybe for a second you'll see Catwoman do something or Bane do something, but it's mostly just people in one spot yapping.
Trying to talk to a man who threw away your
Do
investment.
you understand only money? How are you
He
thinking
goes by his gut, and it continues to bother him no matter what.
You and Dad cleaned up the streets, you cleaned them good.
I'm not hearing the question.
A lot of guys when going down in tunnels.
The foundation is funded by the profits of Wayne.
Even before you became a recruit, you came to base.
He loves Ren and Stimpy.
Hey, I bet the story about Alfred hoping to see Bruce and a loved one in Florence will be how the movie ends. How do I know? Because it's the only time we cut away from somebody talking. And honestly, I'd be more lenient about it if the characters were as interesting as Dark Knight or Batman Begins. All the new characters introduced in those movies were really engaging. Even the gangsters, which you've seen a million of in these films, all have distinct, memorable personalities. All the new characters here are forgettably generic. We got Blake.
Yeah.
He's tough. One of Bruce's biggest investors, Miranda. She's tough. Selena is fake tough. I completely forgot Daggett was in this movie, and that's one of my favorite Batman villains. He's
Clearly, you don't know much of anything, do you? Where's Bane?
annoyingly whiny and tough. I guess there's Matthew Modine, who does have a pretty good arc by the end, but until
Nice to
that
see him
point,
pop
he's
up.
also pretty whiny when not tough. I'll give it this, I am happy when Batman shows up, not because he's gonna save any of these boring people, but because something is finally happening. But this does raise the question, how will he get past years of being physically disabled? Better, off we go.
And he flies now.
Okay, so far so good. His tumblers turn into chitty chitty bang bang, that's cool. He has arguably the best line in the movie.
So that's what that feels like.
That's way too funny, it has to be from the comics. Still a good scene.
They just don't care.
Yes, he still has that voice, and yes, he still mouth breathes so much.
Not as bad as it used to be.
But it's still good to have Batman in this Batman movie. And all it'll cost you is an Alfred.
You leave me. You're not Batman anymore. You have to find another way.
Yeah, remember the Alfred that said endure and take it? Batman can make the choice no one else can.
You spat in the faces of Gotham's criminals, and you think there might be some...
So much monologuing.
It's gonna get worse before they got better.
Well, now it's give up. Let someone else do it. No one cuddles me at night anymore.
What if before she died, she wrote a letter saying she chose Harvey Dent over you?
I give credit that this movie reneges a little bit on the lies told at the end of the last one, as I never knew what to think of that ending, and clearly the writers didn't know either, as both the truth about Rachel and later Dent are revealed.
Maybe it's time we all stop trying to outsmart the truth and let it have its day.
The acting here is also top-notch from both Kane and Bale. But Alfred doesn't want Bruce to die, so he won't help him anymore, leaving him to die.
I know what this means. Your hatred, but it might also mean saving your life.
Now, Timmy,
Not
I'm
at
tired
all.
of catching you every
Not
time
at
you jump
all.
from the bookcase, so I'm not going to catch you this time, saving your life. What's Bruce been doing those 8 years out of the limelight? Well, not protecting his finances, because now he's completely broke.
That's a big thing to miss.
They bring Miranda, who may end up owning the company, to Applied Sciences, and I will admit, I forgot how awesome this show was.
Been a while.
This is it, isn't it?
No,
Didn't
this
remember
is
that.
Goddamn Fox, who will soon be Disney. They show her investment is going to a machine that can create clean, renewable energy. Or blow up the world.
Someone will figure
Of course.
make this power source into a nuclear weapon.
I refer you back to comics. Miranda does end up owning the company, as well as Bruce's Little Wayne. That is, if he can figure out how to get inside his house without Alfred.
Do you have keys?
Never needed them.
Batman, everybody!
Okay.
The two having absolutely no chemistry. They decide
That's an whole new level of
and
dumb.
Yes, there is technically a reason she does it, but again, how did Batman not figure it out? And he tells Selena if she helps him find Bane, he'll help clear her name so that she can go back to feeding her. She doesn't even own a cat! She leads him to Bane Bane alright by trapping him so he has to
Best
face
scene in
him
the movie.
Bane reveals he's from the League of Shadows, and I'm sorry, but in a choice I just can't get behind. He's a massive simp for Ra's al Ghul.
I am the League of Shadows.
Yeah, he just wants to destroy Gotham for the same reason Ra's did. Crime, corruption, economic inequality, which didn't the League say they kind of caused?
With Gotham, we tried a new one. Economics.
And instead of making him a unique epic villain, they just make him a basic bitch for a previous one.
I'm here to fulfill Ra's al Ghul's destiny.
Better to sim for Roz than Rachel.
Black Panther was like, I will fulfill Baron Zemo's legacy. You'd miss all this amazing stuff that makes him one of a kind. It just wouldn't feel as grand or new. Also, The Dark Knight, said by many to be one of the greatest comic book movies ever, kind of feels like a detour now, doesn't it?
Kinda.
League of Shadows wants to destroy the city. Defeated. Joker wants to drive everyone mad. Stopped.
And
League of
forgotten.
Shadows wants to destroy the city. Oh shit! Just when I thought I saw everything, I get to see it again! It does lead to some cool stuff, though. I love how Bane knows all Batman's moves because they were trained by the same people. This fight scene in general is pretty great. Okay, it looks a little fake, but both actors are into it. You feel the intensity. And though Hardy said he hated beating up his childhood hero, he sure does sound like he's having a ball.
I was.
They do, because they belong to me.
Aw, man, you beat him to his hangover face.
You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it.
But that pesky writing, where is all of this taking place without him ever knowing?
Your precious armory. Gratefully accepted.
That's a coincidence.
World's greatest detective. How much work did Alfred do?
I was wondering what would break first, your spirit or your body.
Oh, I should have wore hockey pads.
I don't know if it's been made obvious yet, but I'm not a fan of Bale's Batman. So I enjoyed that scene.
Tries to leave Gotham, but is picked up by the police.
The Paint Act allows non-segregation based on extraordinary need.
This is really stupid. And Bruce is taken to a faraway prison where Bane was raised. He'll, of course, let Bruce watch the destruction of Gotham because comic villains are morons and kill him off after. Prisoners try to get out.
I know there's no guards, but they have TV and cable, satellite.
He says there is one who did it. A child.
A girl, that is very important. Yeah, alright, we'll get to that twist later, but for now, he thinks it's Bane, whom the police think they have surrounded, so they literally throw
Honestly,
in
I thought
every
so too
cop
for a
in
bit.
the city. Their words, not mine.
Every cop in the city's down in those tunnels.
This is so stupid, it actually looks funny. How can you not laugh at all of this giant city's cops going to one bust? Even the reporters are like, are you high?
We're seeing literally thousands of these heading in.
Yeah, and then they keep them alive for several fucking months.
Training exercise.
No, I swear, there was a scene cut from the movie where she says, are you high? Big shock, this wasn't such a good idea. As a bunch of explosions trap them in the tunnels, blow up Gotham's bridges, and for some reason cut up this cool shot from the trailer. Why'd you do that? That one take was amazing.
This bomb is armed, and the identity of the trigger man is a mystery.
Well, this is a weird halftime show. The doctor from earlier turns the energy source into a bomb, and Bane says he'll detonate it if anyone tries to get in or out of Gotham. He reads Gordon's letter about how Batman was innocent and Dent went insane, which, I mean, he is a supervillain. He could be lying. But whatever, this gets Gotham up in arms and is returned to the people who feel wronged. The rich are poor, the poor are rich, the guilty innocent, the innocent guilty, getting across the incredible message of inequality sucks. Yeah, kind of like Occupy Wall Street, which they said they weren't inspired by, and I do believe them. They're doing the same thing, pointing out similar problems, but not really offering solutions. Even though this had no connection to that movement, it was clearly on their minds the same time it was on all these other people's minds. There's just something about that place and time that got people talking about it. Maybe that's why a lot of these characters' choices seem so dumb. They're letting the commentary drive the characters rather than the characters drive the commentary. With that said,
Problem
what
that so
is
many
Batman
films have
gonna
these
do?
days.
I mean, Bane broke his back recreating one of the most iconic comic book scenes ever. What do they seem to have down there? A rope? It's gonna take years of physical therapy. Better. Let's climb out of here. Oh, I broke my back again!
Yeah.
Several months
That is what should have happened.
Tries to escape with the other prisoners chanting, but he never makes it. When he's told the child made it without a rope, he decides no snot-nosed pipsqueak is gonna upstage him.
What does that mean?
Rise.
You've been down there for months, and now you ask what that means? If I was sneaking out of prison and my cellmate said dick cabbage every time I did, day one I'd be like, what's dick cabbage? I'm kind of curious what that's about. How much work did Alfred do again? He climbs up without a rope. Yeah, okay. And he, of course, makes it out. Just in time, too, as the best cameo in the movie says Gordon is on thin ice and sentences him to death. By thin ice.
Just can't let go of this guy. Scarecrow.
This blocks the remote detonator signal to the bomb. Get it onto it before sunrise.
So a lot of people ask, how did Bruce get back to Gotham and how's he able to walk on that thin ice when everybody else falls through? Well, one, they did show he actually can walk on thin ice. Not gonna lie, I was
Okay, that's a
pretty
good
impressed by
point.
that callback. Number two, he's Batman. He got back because he's Batman.
I question it less than the fairy bomb shit in the last
My
movie.
prison with no guards and a giant hole a child jumped out of didn't work. After the 10th time I asked how Nolan could never tell Bale Batman looks hilarious with his mouth open. I'm so baked. They get all the cops out of the tunnel. Again, maybe should have killed them, Bane. And the battle for Gotham begins.
And now he's in the daylight for the first time.
You really do see the money on the screen. Not only is it impressive that all those people are really there and not CG'd in, and that
Yeah.
there was at least an attempt to make it about the city and not just Batman, but the effects for being 10 years old hold up pretty good.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
Up to this
These
video,
are good
I'd totally be
visuals.
invested. Go.
Is he back? Is Spider-Man back?
Pretend I didn't hear that. World's greatest detective finally puts together. Maybe hitting Bane's mask will work. Yeah, even the CIA agent figured that out right away.
If I pull that off, will you die?
And he finally gets him down for the count.
Where's the trigger?
What?
Never give it to an ordinary citizen.
What? Ironically, I can't understand you.
Show me where the trigger is. Then you have my permission to die.
So that's what that feels like. But we get our big twist. I
Yeah.
guess it was Miranda all along.
My mother named me Talia before she was killed.
It turns out she's the kid that escaped, and she's the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, and I don't know. Is this what you wanted?
Not really.
In a movie together, and it's a last-minute twist. Daughter of a villain from 2 movies ago. That's our mastermind. This isn't like Marvel, where there's like 5 films to try this out on. This is the climax of only 3 movies, with a roster of amazing villains, and we're ending with her.
And she could
Okay,
sound
we got 10 minutes
less.
of climax
She couldn't
left.
sound less
Get it ready for her
disinterested if she
movie release
tried.
note.
His only crime was that he loved me.
That is a fake line. You put that in as a joke. These are Oscar-nominated.
And he knew her when she was a little kid, so it's a little
Go up with
creepy.
the city as she gets ready to set off the bomb with her detonator.
Where's the kaboom?
Gordon turned off the bomb, so she rushes to find him, which is good. She shouldn't have to see Bane go out like a bitch.
About the whole no guns thing, I'm not sure I feel as strongly about it as you do.
That's an orgasm of lame. It's
Agreed.
gonna take Bruce a while to recover with that knife in his side batter, but they discover the bomb is activated, and naturally, Batman has to sacrifice himself, flying the bomb away from the city. I'm still so big.
Tell me the thing doesn't have an autopilot.
After his supposed death, I guess they throw a Great Gatsby funeral because almost no one attends. Probably because people are too busy going to Batman's memorial. And nobody puts together they died on the same day. Honestly, it's a little douchey even after he's dead. None of his friends say, oh, by the way, this guy was Batman. He was a good dude. I mean, they literally made a statue out of him. I don't think they're going to charge you with anything. It's not even an accurate likeness. His mouth is closed.
I'm so sorry. I failed you.
Yeah.
Trusted me. And I failed you.
I mean,
Yeah.
you did. How's that whole I'm going to leave you to kill yourself so you don't kill yourself thing work out? Wayne Manor is turned into a center for at-risk kids led by Blake.
Robin.
Oh, blow me. where he discovers the Batcave below. And if you're like me, you know when this movie really should have ended. I know it's like the ending to Inception, but Christopher Nolan has shown us he likes doing the same thing over and over, so why not here? It'd be so good if it was left open. Did he see him? Did he not? Was Selena there? Was someone else he found there? Your imagination and your interpretation of the characters would fill in the blank. But instead, Bruce found the exact cafe he went to in Florence. Absolutely nobody recognizes a face that was constantly on magazines, and this trilogy finally ends.
Go to wrap it up all happy like.
I just can't get into it.
Neither can I.
I'll admit there are a lot
But
of
a little more than The Dark Knight.
Trying to up the spectacle of The Dark Knight, trying to be respectful and not bring back Heath Ledger's Joker. Trying to tie things together when you can't use the storyline of your most iconic villain. But I really think they should have just done a villain from scratch and not connect him to a villain from the first film. Or, if you're gonna do that, do the Scarecrow, damn it! Yeah, I know I never shut up about him, but that is the only first movie villain you could get material from to fill a sequel. At least in a way that'd be satisfying. I think it wanted to up the commentary, up the effects, up the size, and in the process of figuring out the technicals, it lost the human connection. But like I said, that is all on a script level. And yes, that's one of the most important things, but watching it again, I was impressed with how many elements did hold up in terms of technology, size, scale, and performances. You legit feel the effort with every frame. It in no way feels like a lazy movie. Just a misguided one. And even then, that's just my take. I know a lot of people who love this film, and if it really moved you in a profound way, I'm not gonna stand in front of that. Its heart is in the right place, and it's clearly trying to do right by Batman. With that said, do you think it did do right all these years later? Were you like me and felt it couldn't live up to the hype, or do you feel like it followed through on all its epicness? Also, how do you rank the Dark Knight films? I know my ranking's pretty obvious, but I'd love to know yours. Whatever your thoughts on the Nolan trilogy, I think we all owe him a big thanks for bringing back Batman into the cinematic spotlight, reminding us why we love the shadow of such a powerful symbol.
I guess.
Okay, that was the Dark Knight trilogy. Why are we all still here?
Oh, did you think that was it?
Kinda, yeah.
But I have an amazing twist for you. I am, in fact, not the real villain.
Oh, we didn't really care if you were.
It was an unsung hero who was in the movie under your nose the whole time.
Okay.
Hey guys, Tony from Hack the Movies here.
Wait, how is he the villain? He wasn't even in Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, yes I was. I so rarely talk about it. Here's the bandana I wore while shooting, and here's a couple pictures I took from the set. Just watch the stadium scene. I'm right
Whoa.
there, behind the goalpost.
Unexpected, isn't it?
I guess.
Therefore epic.
Not really.
Oh, this is betrayed us, Tony from Hacks and Movies.
It's hard being the glue that holds a film together.
We must rectify this, Tony from Hacks and Movies. You are the twist villain everybody wanted to see.
I didn't even know he was in that film.
So tell me what I must do for my epic conclusion.
Maybe you could review the other two best Batman movies.
Of course! It will be something new and unexpected!
You totally announced that at the beginning of the run.
But has he talked about those films before?
Multiple times.
Yeah.
And we are following the Nolan model. Repeat, repeat, and repeat. Repeat.
You know, I was happier when I literally did it.
I was played by them.
Does this mean I'll disappear too?
The world is too small for the star of the Dark Knight Rises to disappear.
Oh, good.
Who are you?
I'm not sure anymore.
Are you my mommy?
Why is this still going?
Because I love doing this voice.
Well, stop it.
Bye, voice.
The Batman?
I saw on Channel Awesome's Twitter that Hack the Movies, popular YouTube channel that I'm not as familiar with, but I've seen Doug and Brad Jones guest star on them every now and then, so I know that they're tight, and I saw that they were gonna appear in some way, so that was kind of funny at the end, and I'll have to check to see how accurate that is, because the first time I'm hearing that this guy was apparently an extra, but yeah, that's a cool thing to find out, and Doug does do a good impression of the Bane voice, even as far back as demo reel, which they referenced here, and I know, again, a lot of people really fucking hate that show, but I watched it years ago, and I thought it was cute. I thought it was kind of fun. And their Batman parody I thought was pretty spot on. And even back then, Doug did a magnificent Bane impression. And as for this review, it's a good conclusion to the Christopher Nolan trilogy. I'm not going to react to the other reviews coming up, but I look forward to watching them on my own time. And as for the stuff that he pointed out, I did rewatch his Fresh Thoughts review in anticipation of these reviews, and he was negative but fair with it. He didn't get into it, didn't like it, and it does seem like he's softened a little on some of the technicals, but looks like his opinion is more or less not that different. And yeah, the Bane voice, it does sound a little silly at times. There are some parts where it just sounds goofy, but Tom Hardy does have a lot of presence, especially with all that bulk. And as a devoted weightlifter, I can appreciate an actor who puts on that much strength. And Hardy, he really, it's clear he loved playing the character. And as for the stuff he had to say about Catwoman and Blake, I agree more with Blake. I'll get into my feelings on Catwoman in a minute. And I agree with what he had to say about the characters being generic, the supporting characters. But then again, a lot of the supporting characters in all three films are pretty forgettable, kind of bland, or don't show much emotion. And what he said about repeating Batman Begins, how you could cut out the Dark Knight entirely, and this could just be two movies that are directly following each other. I can see that, and he said the same thing in his Fresh Thoughts video years ago. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, again, they couldn't really follow up on the Joker, so they went the only routes I think they could really go. And what he had to say about the size and scale and his wraparound, that is something that is always impressive. Like Christopher Nolan, he went out of his way to use as little CGI as possible, and as much as I don't care for the story and characters, I can respect the film for being very practical as much as it can be, and being very inventive with its action sequences, very creative. And I mean, the Star Wars prequels are not good movies, but they have impressive action sequences that you can kind of get into, like just lose yourself in the fighting. So yeah, I agree with all that shit, and I don't think my opinion of The Dark Knight Rises has really softened over the years. I wasn't a big fan of it, but then again, as I said in my last reaction video, I was not a big fan of The Dark Knight from 2008. I fucking hate that movie, and I feel like I'm in the minority of people, and if you want to know why, then check out that video. But as for The Dark Knight Rises, I have mixed feelings on it. I don't like it, but I do like it a little bit more than The Dark Knight for a few specific reasons. And like the last video, I took the time to write down my pros and cons because there's a lot to kind of say. As for the pros, Tom Hardy, as I already said. The opening plane scene, which I know a lot of people thought was fucking stupid, but I thought it was pretty cool, and that dun 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 theme that plays as Bane takes the plane and the Doctor. That got my adrenaline pumping. And the scene where I've said I hate Christian Bale's Batman, and it's a mix of the writing and Bale's acting, which I don't fully blame him because I've liked him in a lot of other stuff, but it seems like a case of the director wanted everybody to be a certain way, and everybody either comes off as stiff or unlikable. To me, Batman, Bruce Wayne, is just a pretty shallow, self-righteous asshole in these flicks, and I really fucking love the scene where Bane just kicks the piss out of him. And I may seem like a psycho a little, but I loved it when he picked Bale up and just slammed him across his knee. To me, that was just so much fun, seeing this I shall not kill prick just get his bones cracked. And while I don't think the character was well written, I do think Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Blake, like, not a well-written character, but he really shows his talent here because he is able to say these lines. Like, he's acting, he's probably the standout actor in the film. And Liam Neeson, well, he didn't highlight it in this review. His cameo return as Ra's al Ghul, I did think was pretty fun, and it was just good to see him again. Like, he was a pretty damn good villain in Batman Begins. Once again, I think the action is pretty easy to get into, and as for my cons, the number one con next to Bale's Bruce Wayne is Anne Hathaway as Selina Kyle. I, once again, have a very different opinion than Doug. Like, we're not on complete opposite ends. He says he's indifferent. I guess my opinion would be on the hate side. Like, I fucking despise Anne Hathaway as Selina Kyle. Pretty much from her first scene where she tripped Bruce Wayne, knocked his cane out of the way. I know Catwoman's a villain and she has that kind of personality, but to me, that moment just made me fucking hate. I mean, I don't like Bruce Wayne in this, but the fact that she would do that just kind of ruined the character for me. And her whole personality was a mix of being a pissy bitch to being emotionless and just not having the oomph needed to bring this character to life. Her personality, like so many other characters, just felt kind of halfway or just dead. And I don't know what to say. Selina Kyle in The Dark Knight Rises was, for lack of a better word, a nasty fucking cunt. Talia al Ghul, can't really say much about her. She doesn't really have much of a personality, and the big reveal at the end, she sounds so devoid of emotion, and just, it almost seems like she doesn't really give a shit. And Michael Caine, Gary Oldman, Morgan Freeman. Caine and Freeman showed a lot of promise in the first film, and then gradually they just became pretty dead, and their age is really starting to show by Rises. And Gary Oldman, I love him. He has done so many great characters, but as far as playing a character that leaves an impression, this ain't Drexel Spivey, and he always seems like he's either constipated or he's 5 seconds away from passing out from exhaustion. He just seems so old and tired, Gary Oldman, in this, that I never really found any reason to really give a shit. And yeah, the wife, kid leaving, I didn't really care, and didn't really have much of a, they just kind of mention it and then move on, so there's not really much of a emotional impact to hearing that sad thing about him. And yeah, the message, the commentary doesn't exactly make a lot of sense, as Doug pointed out, and I don't know if I fully agree with this. There was somebody I knew years ago that said he didn't like The Dark Knight Rises because he thought it made Bane and his group, who he called terrorists, seem like they were right. Like, their reasons for what they do were in the right, that they were sensible in a way, something like that. And not sure I got that impression here, but once again, the villains, particularly the Joker in the last film, made more sense and could be at times a little easier to get behind than Batman's retarded fucking ass with underestimating the bad guys, being all self-righteous, trying to find the non-deadly solution. And yes, the part with Blake finding out that Bruce is Batman, saying just from looking at him, that was literally too stupid to insult. I got nothing to say about that other than there was a popular fan discussion years ago saying, couldn't he have been revealed to be that little kid in the first film that he met on the fire escape? Like, that could have been a good twist or a good way to explain like how he could have recognized him. But no, he just recognized him from a look, and I give Joseph Gordon-Levitt this. He acts the hell out of that scene to the best of his abilities, and it doesn't make it work, but I won't fault Levitt for that. He was, again, the best damn actor in this movie. I think a good note to wrap up on is the movie really tried to rush its ending, like Bruce flying the bomb out, Alfred seeing him. Yeah, that seems a little too happy for this series that was supposed to be darker and grittier and very rushed. This whole ending to The Dark Knight Rises felt very rushed, and like they knew they were going to wrap up this trilogy, but they wanted to wrap it up quick and as perfectly as possible in a way that they thought would satisfy people. And I fully agree, even though it's been said a million times, Bane went out like a fucking bitch, and he was, despite that goofy voice, a big, tough, bad guy. He really put more hurt on Batman than anyone else in this trilogy, so I think he should have had a more awesome death scene. Just, why did Christopher Nolan think that a simple BOOM would be a satisfactory ending? I don't know. And I know that they didn't include the Joker because they didn't want to recast the character, but I don't understand, and this is what I read. They didn't mention the Joker at all because they wanted to be respectful to Heath Ledger, and I get not wanting to recast the role, especially so soon after he had died, but you couldn't have mentioned maybe that the Joker had died. I mean, it would have been more satisfactory, have more meaning, more weight than showing Aaron Eckhart's fucking mug every other scene. And the whole thing with Harvey Dent, make him look like a martyr to make the citizens better people, to get laws passed. I always thought that that was just, once again, lame. And to answer Doug's question about where I'd rank each film in the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman Begins, I'd give it probably 4 out of 5 stars. The Dark Knight, as much as I hate it, I loved Heath Ledger as the Joker, so I'd give it maybe a 1.5, and The Dark Knight Rises, I'd give it a 2 out of 5, simply because, again, good action, and I love seeing Bane just obliterate Christian Bale as Batman, and I think that's been enough rambling, repeating of things. I'm sure I did a few. I've really enjoyed the Nostalgia Critics reviews, and I look forward to the next 2 videos in Dark Knight month, and I'm gonna go take a little break, so until then, see you next time.